Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Ixelan's Gaming Corner. Today we're looking at Invisible Ink, Tactical Espionage. This is a great little, the art style kind of reminds me of like the cell shading of like Borderlands, but obviously it's a very different style. It is, we're going to go here. I started a file, got through the first mission just so that we had some options. It's a tactical, turn-based stealth game, which there haven't really been a lot of. We're gonna go do this mission here. I'm not gonna ruin any of the story or anything because I think it's a really great game that you should definitely check out for yourself and play. But basically, you have 72 hours. So the whole mechanic of the game is you're a spy organization, and so you have certain mission objectives on each mission. So in this one, we're locating the guard office and getting out alive. And in the guard office is going to be items that we can hopefully steal. You can also find and steal credits, which is, futuristic money style things in the game. And so you start a game with two characters. So we have Decker and International. And Decker is your standard military grunt style guy. He's a little more stealth based. He's got a cloaking rig. International is a little more tech based, so she has the ability to sense different computer objects through walls if she's close enough. And you also have this incognita AI up here, a quantum AI construct. This is really the core of the game. When you're in incognita mode, which you can get by clicking this or pressing spacebar, it shows you a grid outlay of the game along with all the different things that you can do. And so you can see she has 5 spots for abilities. The first one is we get +1 power, which is up here in the upper left corner. Max 20. We start with 10. 1 per turn. We can spend 2 power to break firewalls. So we could break this firewall to be able to access this with our stealth agents. And so really the core of the game is complete the mission, get out alive, get hidden. So you can do a bunch of different things, and I'm going to go over some base mechanics as we go through this. But International, since she can sense machines through there, can access this console, which allows us to hack it to get more power. So that's how we're going to start off. We're going to get some early power. Then we're going to take Decker forward, and we're going to see that we can go in either direction. I'm going to hook him around this way. And this red door is a locked door. The blue doors we can see through. So one of the core mechanics is staying hidden. So you can peek through doors, like through the keyhole, and you can see here all these tiles have been normal that we could walk on. It's obviously a grid-based game. But suddenly we see red tiles, and if you hover over it, you can see that it's watched by the enemy, which means somehow the enemy is watching it. So either there's a camera in one of these corners that we can't see, or there's a guard over here staring out. I think it's more likely there's a camera, so I'm going to open this door and then peek again. And it's actually a drone, which is kind of crappy. But we can potentially hack the drone, so I'm going to do that with incognita. And now you can see this is no longer a dangerous area because we have the drone on our side. And so the drone, when you hover over a unit of your own, it just tells you who it is. Apologies for that. Knocking stuff over on my desk. You can see the unit's stats down here with all their different abilities and inventory. For enemy units, it just tells you all the stuff that they have. So this one's controllable, no hearing, immune to KOs. Basically all the stuff that a robotic drone would have. So since we've hacked it, we can select it. You can right click to move, so we can send it to explore for us this area. And so our goal here, since we have it for 2 turns, is probably just to explore this area while we send our agents this way. That means that when the drone loses control and is no longer ours, it'll be well away from us, and we won't have to worry, hopefully, about that problem. So we're going to send International. We're actually probably going to peek around here real fast. Okay, so just to make sure there wasn't a door this way. So it's a dead end, so we'll head back this way. And then we can end our turn. And so then the enemy gets a turn, and they get to move and do whatever they do. And then you see up here in the upper right corner, the security level filled a bar. And every time it fills 5 bars, so every 5 turns, it increases the security level by 1. The first turn, we're playing on normal or experienced. You can see up here experience is kind of the default mode. Every time that it fills up 1, things will happen. So in the first one, you'll get new cameras that turn on. Let's open these doors and get a peek through here. That's interesting. How much space I don't know how much AP. So we can go in here, look. This place doesn't serve me any purpose. And then we can go here and close the door. And so this thing's going to shut down next turn, but all the doors are closed, and that's really a key component of Invisible Ink, is making sure that you block line of sight to stay hidden. So you can always close doors behind you to stay hidden. And while I didn't close that door, it's because International is going to come through the door. Okay, so there's nothing in here that we should be afraid of, so we can move in. International will come in here, close this door, and then move around. And so we've accessed these wireless scanners so she can see them. So even if he wasn't in here, we'd know where they are, and we could access them with incognita. This is a guard. Most of the base security guards are not very dangerous. You can use melee ambush attacks to stun them and knock them out for 3 turns, which is a good way to maneuver around them. If you kill them, which is you have to get a good melee weapon to kill, or most likely you'll get a gun that'll kill. It increases the alarm level if they die, but they also won't come back to get up and hunt you down later. But, again, another but, if you kill them, you have to pay a cleanup cost, and so you're obviously trying to get the most stuff. It's stealth-based. You're trying to steal and get all the good loot and stuff. So in here, we can see that this nano fabricator is basically a shop. The secondary server terminal, I don't know what it does. I want to say the server terminal gives us something, and then this power supply will most likely turn off this force field up here. The downside to all of this is they all have daemons in them, or demons, however you want to pronounce it, which can do bad things. Well, which can do bad things to you, and since we don't know what the daemon is, operate. Yeah, I think we're gonna hack this and run the risk. Siphons 100 credits from the agency. Okay, so they stole $100. We had 500. It's not the end of the world. We'll move him in here and loot this. All right, so now we can buy. Moves a daemon to a random device. Huh. Costs 2 power. That's kind of interesting. I've never used that before. And Shade, toggle, reduces the sight range of guards for 2 turns. That's kind of cool. That's really good. I wish we hadn't gotten 100 credits stolen. I'm going to buy Taurus because I think that's interesting. Maybe not necessarily the best, but it'll work for what we have. So we'll move him in here. Okay, we'll peek again. So there's something over here. Probably another camera drone would be my guess. Well, let's see. We have 10 power. And we can move a daemon here. The daemon moves somewhere over here to a device that we can't see yet. Probably to the drone that I think is there. Which means we can actually now easily hack this. And that'll turn off the power for the devices. Because that's what generators do, obviously. They generate power. Duh. So we can move her in here. Check out this way. Okay, she doesn't see a camera, so I'm willing to bet there's a guard there. Yeah. So now the guard has been alerted that something's over here. So we're going to close the door, and he's going to come investigate on his turn. So we can actually set an ambush. Which, if you've played a game like XCOM, is kind of like Overwatch, where if they come in your line of sight, you can attack them, but it's a melee range, so it's not super awesome. But we'll do that here. And then I think we've used all the action points of our characters. So as you can see, I hadn't really gone over it yet, but each turn you start with a set number of action points based on their speed. Thankfully, attacking doesn't actually cost action points, neither does stealing, just really moving. So we'll actually loot his corpse, take his money. And then I think what we'll do is we'll move International here. Okay, so real fast, I had to do this part post-commentary. I lost the audio recording of my voice after this point because I had an issue with my microphone and the muting button for a cough, and it's binded to P, which is why you see me peaking multiple times here, because P is bound to peak. Wasted a couple actions for International, but it's not a big deal. So we're going to move Decker out here, close the door, and then move him onto the guard that we just KO'd with International. And the reason that we do that is when you have a unit on a guard, the timer for their countdown to wake them up doesn't go down, so it'll stay at 3 rounds. And we move International closer because you just saw we can hack remote things and gain power without being directly next to it, which Decker would have to be next to it. So then we can use that power to re-hack this drone and move him in to get kind of a better view of this area. Since he is an enemy unit, the enemy won't detect him, at least initially. When our hack dies and he goes KO'd for like a round or two, if he's in line of sight an enemy will be questioned and be like, what's going on here, and start investigating. But as long as we keep him out of the enemy's sight, then we should be fine here. So I think overall that's probably where we have to go based on the locked door and the units being up there. So we're going to explore kind of the rest of the area first and see if we can, look in these doors, see what's going on. So there's nothing really in this door, which initially made me think that maybe I was wrong and this was not the right area because it's just like a back office. Who cares? But I can put the drone in here and have him knock out. So he'll be out. Then in 2 turns, he'll wake up and then he'll come out and investigate the area, but we'll be long gone by then, which is really a nice plan. Now with Decker, what I want to do here is look and see if there's anything to steal, and there's not. Just make sure that we have a good sense of this room, and then keep this door closed and drag this guy towards International, because I do want Decker to be involved with some of the things, and so if we can bring the body closer, we can dive out, get items, or rob a safe, and then go back to the body in the same turn. So we move International here and peek around, and you can see all this red really implies to me that there's a security camera. And so when I spot the turret, which apparently has a security camera attached to it, I'm able to then hack it with International in stealth mode here. And you can see that there's a 2-level security firewall on this one device, which means we'd have to spend 4 power to get it, but it would also release a daemon. So when I move around, I'm then able to see the generator that actually powers the turret, and I hack that just to make sure that doesn't come back on, just in case anything bad happens with our alerts, because I haven't actually had that much experience with turrets, but I figure we can move the daemon off of this server and then start hacking it with International because we just bought the Taurus ability, which is really good. And so what that server did is it identified daemons for us. So now you can see we can see that it's fractal here, and we can see what that daemon does when we hack it. So if we choose to hack it, we know what penalty is coming for us. And very, very rarely there's certain penalties that are actually good, and there's a very small chance that Incognita, your AI, can actually reverse the effect of a daemon and make it beneficial for you. So, meanwhile, we're going to move on with our next turn, and since there is a safe up here, we're going to want to get that, but we're going to peek at the doors as we go and make sure that there's nothing else in here. So you can see there's a little door that goes off, but that room is overall empty. So we're going to move International up here and try to get this safe on the next turn. And then we're going to have Decker bring the body closer. And we're going to keep bringing the body closer. And you can see now that I've done that, I can see that because we hit level 1, remember the cameras are turning on. I mentioned that a little while ago. And so you can see this camera is flashing, it's starting to activate, and now it's red. Thankfully, I stopped it. I got really, really lucky, and I stopped at just the right spot for this to be in a yellow spot. So yellow spots are adjacent to where an enemy can see, but they can't see that spot yet. So you can actually move through yellow spots carefully and avoid the red spots to stay undetected. But we're not going to take this chance because we have enough power. We'll just hack the camera. My personal preference is just making sure that we have all of the cameras. Like, I would rather hack a camera than a turret, in all honesty, because being able to know where things are and where your enemies are is really beneficial. So, for instance, we're going to hack this camera just to get a view of this room. And we can see that there's no enemies in it, thankfully, so we'll hack some of these safes to kind of get some early, well, not early credits, but to hopefully get to the credits before we get caught with anything. And then we'll move in and we'll close the door. And we'll just start making our way down. And I actually forgot to, because I was right next to the safe, I could have just stolen the credits there. But now I've gained 5 more power off of that. And since, we'll see it at the end, but there are 4 different skills. And so you can adjust your character's skills as you go through the game. And International starts with a higher hacking skill, so she actually gets more power from hacking the power consoles. which is really a huge benefit. She can do it remotely, and she gets you a bunch. Like, that's early game just really good. And an enemy that I did not predict has just walked in, which kind of threw us for a loop. I wasn't really expecting that. Thankfully, International left that door open because you can't open or close doors when you're carrying a body. So we had to drop the guard, close the door, pick him up, carry him on. And I think we're still okay. So Decker's... My plan with Decker is just to move the guard and then, like, dump him over here somewhere. So once we're done with this area, we can just run out. And by the time the guard wakes up, we'll be good to go. That's the overall plan going forward, at least. So this guard is kind of facing forward, and you can see we can observe him, and he's going to turn around and go back. And so then I realized that I didn't steal from this credit. So I move up next to him, and I just decided that probably when he turns, he's going to see us, and we have the charge on our attack left, so why not just, like, KO him right there and steal his stuff. So we do that, and we get a level 1 security passcode. So that red door on the screen that's locked, we can now access with that security card. And the one back in where the security camera drone was, we can also access that. So that's really good. And so now that we have this camera, we can see this area. We can safely move in here, loot these credits. And then, unfortunately, the guard is going to get an extra turn, like, on his countdown. So he's going to go down to 2. But it'll let us steal the rest of this stuff on the next turn and then move back onto him so he won't wake up. We don't have a lot of power, actually. It looks like we only have 1 power, so this is why I decided not to do any of this, and we're going to just keep exploring. Because I thought that this would be the area to go, but in fact, there's another red door, and these double red doors are where enemies spawn, so when we hit security level 2 or 3, more guards will get teleported in, or if there's certain daemons that summon guards, they'll come in through one of those 2 entry points. That's how the enemy enters the level, so you can kind of hopefully avoid those spots once you find them, because that's where the guards will come in. They'll sweep out, as you would expect a guard duty to do, and move out from that direction. So we've got this whole area pretty much unlocked because of all the cameras that are in place, so we kind of lucked out with the procedurally generated map to actually maneuver through this thing. And what I want to do with International is I want to bring the bodies together, but now that we've got enough power to unlock this, we're going to dive in here, steal some of this, and then start making our way back. And really, my goal here is to keep one of them pinned for 3 rounds, and then when the other one's about to wake up, knock him back out, and then we can just, like, book it the hell out of here. There is the potential that we'd want to get this safe that is here, but now that we've hit level 2 and they both have daemons on them, it's not, like, we've determined this is not where we want to be at this moment unless it's through that one unlocked door or through the similarly passcoded door. So I don't necessarily think that we're on the right side of the map. I'm starting to think that maybe the other side is where we want it to be through that one locked door. So I've decided I'm just going to leave this guy abandoned for the moment and switch out since he started to count down. And you can see you can trade items. So when your allies are next to each other, your characters, you can actually use them to trade items, and depending on their strength, which is another one of their stats, they can carry a certain number of items. So I gave the passcode to Decker so that he could go check that door, and International could stay on this character and keep him pinned. I can't knock him back down because I don't have a charge on my Overwatch button yet. Oh no, I did. So I just knocked him back up to 3 just to be safe. That way he doesn't wake up and get the ambush or anything. So that was the overall plan. Most of the enemies are not alerted, and the ones that are alerted are unconscious. So we knocked him out. We opened the door over there so that when he wakes up, he goes, hey, why is this door open? And goes over there to investigate instead of coming towards the closed doors where we are. So we have 3 rounds to deal with this area and then kind of get out of here. And that's something that I think is a really cool element in the game. There's locked doors, you can pickpocket people, but you can also just distract them with your own natural, like, actions. So if you open a door and an enemy sees that door, they investigate. Like we saw that earlier when we knocked out this one guard. But if you knock out a guard and leave him in a hallway with one open door and a bunch of closed doors, when he wakes up, that's the most likely place he's going to go investigate. Which, if it's the other side of the hallway, it could take him a round or 2 to do. And by then, you could be long gone. You could be on the other side of the floor. You could be running for the elevator. There's a lot of options. So now that we saw the security camera here, and we can see most of that room, and it just loops around to this room, we can see this isn't really where we want to be. So we're going to still try to keep this one guy knocked out as best we can, and make our way back towards wherever the camera drone is, and into that other locked door, which is obviously our overall objective at this point. So we've made it. We're on alarm level 2. Alarm level 3 is when the first enemy comes in. I think I mentioned it was 2 or 3. I'm like 90% sure it's 3. And it's been a couple days since I played, but verifying this from the video, it is definitely 3. So we're going to probably just drop this guy at this point. He's got 3 rounds, so there's no point in wasting our attack on him. And I'm just going to leave him by the electric field and get the hell out of here. And this way we'll move on towards wherever the drone is. Now, my goal here is to hopefully avoid triggering the camera drone, because it will increase the alarm level when he spots us. But you can see the red light. He's started to come back. So he woke up in that back room, investigated. So that goes to show you, like, an automated drone takes that long to go out, investigate, and come back. So International being able to move up, I can now see that drone is close enough, and I can hack him again, which I'm going to do just because we're going to need to be able to move through this area. So then the question goes, well, what do we do with the drone? And I think our best bet with the drone is just to get him out of the way as fast as possible. So with the combat drone, we're just going to move him as far as we can away from the area. And I think putting him, again, in this back room where he won't see anything will probably be... Now, I know there's a camera here, and it might see him, so we'll try to put him in, like, the corner where the camera won't see him. And then we'll be able to take a couple turns while he reboots and hopefully grab the goods and get out of the elevator that we saw at the beginning. So I don't think I pointed out this. Down here on the bottom of the screen, the blue arrows pointing down in those 4 squares, that's where we go to leave the level once we've completed our mission. And we can actually early extract if things go really poorly. And, for example, this is a very poor thing that has happened. There's a security guard that I did not expect to see over here. It was not a camera, it was a security guard. He's just standing there, not doing anything. So we'll move out of his line of sight and close the door, and this is where we're going to pass out next turn. And so hopefully we'll be able to make it through without him detecting us, but we'll just to be safe. I think we can sneak up on this guy, and I'm not going to knock him out yet, because that's going to reduce our options later. But I'm going to try to move everyone into this area behind him, and hopefully we'll be very, very sneaky. That's kind of our goal here. So I could knock him out. Apparently I just said knock him out. I guess it kind of makes sense because he's not moving, and we know we need to go to that one door over there. So now we can just take the money, and if for some reason International needed the pass card, she could take it from him then. But until then, we're just going to kind of manage this pin. And so now you can see the guard who woke up, went over there, explored, and now he's going back to his route because he didn't find anything. He's just like, that was weird. Suddenly I was asleep. Like, obviously he's on high alert, but there's not really anything we can do at that point. So I'm going to leave her... Oh, no, okay. So this was my brilliant plan at the time, is she had more action points after we moved Decker up. So let her go open the door, find the secure panel, and you can see we're starting to run low on energy, so we actually have to wait till next turn before we can even do anything. But she's opened the door now, and so Decker can move up, and this way she had more time to peek, and Decker could get in place, and the next turn we can move her back onto the pin guy, steal the goods, and get out. This is the overall, like, battle plan. Like, you're trying to manage all the people's different actions and get them to work as a team, all on stealth, obviously. So you can see the yellow square, the drone has rebooted, it is on alert, it is curious about what's going to go on. So I'm going to actually try to grab this guy and move back a level and, like, get away from the drone, because the drone can actually do kind of a radar sense of people nearby, so we want to stay out of that. Then we're going to move in, steal the goods. Oh, and there's this whole wireless scanner, which is an item that you can... I think it's an augment that you can install on your person.
The item was resting on a pressure plate, and they know it's been moved. Guards are coming your way.
Unfortunately, as soon as you take it, guards show up. And you're like, oh, well, guards don't necessarily show up. They have the possibility of showing up. So what I've done here is I've switched the taser from Decker to International, because Decker's is charged. International's is recharging, and that'll give International a chance to attack someone if they come to the door. She can open the door, tase them, pull them in, close the door. Unfortunately, this guard has a gun and is, like, right on your face. When a guard sees you, you get one move. One step, not even one action point, basically. You can tase him, or you can get out of the way. There's no way to get to that guard and tase him without him shooting us, which is really bad. So the game comes, this is a really cool mechanic of Invisible Ink. Depending on the difficulty, it comes with a certain number of rewinds. On normal, it's 3. On easy, it's 5. You can even play Iron Mode where you don't get rewinds. But since everything's procedurally generated, you can't really plan for everything. So it's really a very useful and interesting mechanic. So instead of doing what we did last time and stealing the goods, we're actually just going to get Decker in position. And same thing, International is going to drag the body away from the camera, hopefully. And this way, when we steal it the next turn, we have all of our action points to then move up, and we're going to move to the door and ready an ambush for the guy when he opens it with the gun, because we know he's going to. So we're going to drop this body here. It's going to be out of line of sight, and then we're going to move. Decker can't reach the door now, because you can see the distance. Like, even if I ran, he wouldn't be able to reach it. Although, he might have if I thought about running, but I probably didn't. There's an action you can click on before you take any action points. It's a little foot along there with the Overwatch and the peak. And you make a lot of noise and attract guards, but it gives you like 3 extra spaces of movement. So it's fairly useful. But you can see Decker still can't reach the area, but he can reach the passed out guard, whereas International can reach the door. So we can have her move up, set an ambush, because remember we gave her the taser that was charged. Now we have Decker do the same thing, steal the items, get the alert that things have been moved. And that guard still got 3 rounds, so I'm not super concerned. I'd rather have International like ready for the thing and Decker closer, because I just want to get them out now. They're so close to that exit, and more enemies are going to start coming in because we're about to hit level 4, which I think means they're sending in another enemy, and that's really bad. So this guy's like coming up, and that's kind of scary. So this guy opened, as we expected, came in with the gun. International was ready. She tased him. She knew it was coming. We've hit alarm level 4. They brought in a new security guard. And I think 3, 4, and 5, they bring in 3 new security guards, so you end up getting 3 more people, which is really terrible. But taking out this guy, we got to get some more credits. And then we move up to the door behind the camera drone. And we still don't have enough power to hack the camera drone, but he's not going to see us, so that's pretty good. So we can close the door, leave the unconscious bodies in there. They'll get up in a little while, but for now we're safe. And we'll move up out of line of sight of the actual camera drone if he turns around and looks for some reason. Or if the guard moves in and looks down the hallway. And by fiddling with the door, we've now attracted the attention of the guard who was in the room and saw it. So he might potentially start moving around. And the camera drone didn't actually see it, because the camera drone can't see or sense things behind it. But it did do a radar scan. You saw a little flash of red, and that means it saw us. And it has alerted it and increased the security. But camera drones can't shoot you, so we actually just, like, freaking book it. We're getting the hell out of here. This drone is not messing with us. Not today, Sonny. So we managed to run by most of them, and it'll pause you at different points, because if it was an enemy with a gun, these are the points where it would shoot you. But we've taken both our characters and made them onto the elevator, and so we completed our mission, stole a bunch of extra credits, and then we successfully complete the level. And because we didn't kill anyone, we don't get that death penalty cleanup cost that I mentioned earlier. So it shows you all the guards and their status, whether they were alerted, distracted, killed. Shows you the cameras and all the things, so we can see all the things that we didn't hack that are grayed out. And then it shows you what you've earned, what you've spent, and it gives you a score, and then it adds it to your starting score to get your net worth. And so that way, even when you spend money on upgrades and buying new gear, your net worth still goes up, and that's kind of like your overall score for the game. Which is interesting, because it means that, in theory, you could do like a 2-hour daily, which would take a lot of time, because I think it takes about like 2 to 3 hours to probably play through on normal mode, at least, the whole storyline, depending on how fast you play. Like, obviously, this is about a 30-minute episode, and there's maybe 5 to 7 missions. 2, 3, I think 7 missions was what I started with on my first run through the game. I ended up doing 2, 3, 2. Like, day 1 I did 2 missions, day 3 I did 3, or sorry, day 2 I did 3, and then day 3 I did 2. And so it ended up being 7 missions. So maybe longer than that. So I don't know, maybe a daily probably wouldn't work now that I'm thinking about it. But here's the level up screen, and you can see all the powers of all the people, and you can pay cost to level them up. And then as the days change, you get new missions, and the mission started out at level 1, not badly guarded, and all those have now become level 2, and now we have level 3 missions because we're in the next level, and the difficulty only increases as you go on. So, you know, the game really levels up with you, but that's Invisible Ink. I guess not levels up, but it challenges you the further you go. So it's a very fun, very interesting, kind of roguelike tactical game that I haven't really seen any game do quite like this, and it was very reminiscent for me of Final Fantasy Tactics with the turn-based, action-based economy. It was really very interesting. I guess some people would liken it a lot to XCOM, like stealth XCOM, and I could see that. But just the I guess isometric, is that the word I'm looking for? Like angle view is very interesting to me. And so you can see there's multiple save files. When we go and we look at Play Store, you can set the difficulty here. So remember I mentioned that on normal it's 3 rewinds. And so you can set these, but you can also change it, because I've heard some people complain that they don't like it that the alarm level automatically increases. They want it to only increase when you make mistakes. So they give you that option of doing that. They give you an option of how many rewinds. You know, if you hit 99, you're basically infinite. You can do Iron Man, where you can make no mistakes and you get 0 rewinds. There's level retries. There's all these variable options, so you can customize the game to your feel, which is an awesome mechanic that I haven't seen any game really do before. There's so much customization. That's customization options. That's what I'm looking for. And it's really interesting, really cool. I mean, I love the game. I think it's so perfectly well done. And yeah, every time you complete the storyline, you unlock new characters and new abilities to start the game with again. So it feels, there's that little element of like Nuclear Throne. Well, maybe Nuclear Throne doesn't do that, because I haven't played that. I just watch videos. But it has that Isaac feel of like you unlock something for the next time you play, and it's really, really cool. So there's tons of options, tons of customization, and that's Invisible Ink. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode of Ixelan's Gaming Corner. And yeah, I will see you guys next time. If you enjoyed, please leave a like. Let me know what you thought of the game in the comments below, and I'll see you next time. Bye.